is the polynomial synthetic division. So synthetic division is a shortcut method to divide polynomials. This method only works when dividing by a linear binomial. So anything in the form of the x minus c. Okay. So we're talking about this right here. It has to be in this form right here, x minus c. So step one says to arrange the polynomial in descending powers with a zero coefficient for any missing terms. Write c for the divisor, x minus c, so we'll talk about how to get that. To the right, write only the coefficients of the dividend. Number 3, write the leading coefficient of the dividend on the bottom row. Number 4, multiply c times the value just written on the bottom row. Write the product in the next column in the second row. And again, this seems like a lot, but once we start going through it, you'll see how the process works. And then steps 4, 5, and 6 repeat. So it says add the values in the new column, writing the sum in the bottom row. Step 6, repeat the series of multiplications and additions until all columns are filled in. And then last but not least, step 7 says use the numbers in the last row to write the quotient plus the remainder above the divisor. The degree of the first term of the quotient is 1 less than the degree of the first term of the dividend. That's when we know when to stop. All right, so number 1 says find each quotient using synthetic division. Okay, so for number 1 here, first thing we're going to do is we're going to take that x plus 3. We're going to set it equal to 0, and we're going to solve it. So when we subtract the 3, x equals negative 3. This is called a pivot point. So we're going to take that number. We're going to draw an upside down division sign. And that right here, this x equals negative 3, we're going to place negative 3 on the top left on the outside. Okay. Now from here, we're going to look at our dividend, and we're going to see if we have any missing powers. So we have a power of 3, 2, a power of 1, and then we have a constant. So there are no missing powers. Now here we're going to use the coefficients in front of each term. So for x cubed, we're going to place a 2. Then we're going to place a 13, 24, and an 8. Again, if we had any missing powers, we would have put that in there, a 0 for its spot. Okay, so that's the top row right there. All right, the first step when you're doing synthetic division is we're going to drop this number 2. We do that always. So drop the first number always. Then we're going to multiply this c value right here, our pivot point, times the number that we just dropped. So negative 3 times 2 is going to be negative 6, and we're going to place that in the second column, second row. So negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. And then we just add, we combine. So here 13 minus 6 is going to be 7. And then we repeat the process. We take that pivot point, negative 3, and we multiply it to 7. So negative 3 times 7 is negative 21. And then we combine. 24 minus 21 is 3. And then negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. And 8 minus 9 is negative 1. Now for me, I always put like a little half square right here, because that last number right there is going to be my remainder. Okay? So it says the degree of the first term of the quotient is going to be 1 less than the degree of the first term of the dividend. So what that means is this right here. So if you look right here, the highest degree in my dividend is x cubed, which now means that the highest degree in my quotient will be 1 degree less, which would be x squared. So when I write this answer, the 2 is going to be x squared. The 7 is positive, and that's going to be positive 7x. So now we're just going down in descending power. So 2, 1, 3 will be my constant. And then the negative 1 is going to be plus my remainder over my divisor, which is x plus 3. And there is the synthetic division. Okay, and again, this only works if it's a linear binomial. All right, on to the next one. So here we have number 2 says our dividend is x to the 4th minus 7x squared minus 32x minus 15, all divided by x minus 4. So again, we're going to take our divisor, we're going to set that equal to 0, and we're going to solve that, so x is equal to 4. Okay, we're going to start with our upside down division sign. On the top left on the outside, we're going to put our pivot point of 4. Now, we're going to look at our dividend and see if we have any missing powers. So x to the 4th, coefficient is 1. We don't have x cubed, so in this place we're going to put a 0. We do have x squared, which is negative 7. We have x, which is going to be negative 32. And our constant is negative 15. So it should go 4, 3, 2, 1 constant. All right. Now from here, we're going to always drop the first term. We're going to multiply. 4 times 1 is 4. Then we're going to combine. So after we multiply, we place it in the next column. Combine 0, and that's a positive 4. So 0 plus 4 is 4. Then we're going to take our pivot point and multiply it by our next number. So 4 times 4 on the bottom is 16. We place that in the next column. So negative 7 plus 16 is going to give me 9. And we're just repeating that process. Pivot point times 9, so 4 times 9 is 36. We place that in the next column. We combine negative 2 plus 36 is going to be positive 4. And again, repeat that one more time. 4 times 4 is 16. Place that in the next column. Combine, negative 15 plus 16 is 1. And that right there is going to be my remainder. So when I write my answer, again, we look at this power here. It is x to the 4th. The quotient is 1 degree less. So 1 degree less than x to the 4th is x to the 3rd. So this first one right here is going to be x to the 3rd plus 4, then we're descending powers, x squared, plus 9x plus 4 plus my remainder 1 over my divisor of x minus 4. Okay, so let's take a look at a few more here. Okay, so here again, we're going to take our, we can see our dividend, we see our divisor. We're going to take our divisor, and we're going to set that equal to 0. And then we're just going to solve it. And that process, we're going to start it. So the 1 goes on the top left on the outside. Then we look at our dividend, and we start writing our numbers. Again, if we have a missing power, we put a 0. So x to the 4th, the coefficient is 3. For x cubed, it's a 1. X squared is a negative 2. For x, it's a 2, and our constant is negative 5. Okay, so let's go ahead and start that process. We drop the first term. We multiply 1 times 1. We place that in the next column is 1. Then we combine. 1 plus 1 is 2. Repeat the process. Pivot point times 2 is 1 times 2 is 2. Place it in the next column. Combine. Multiply. 1 times 0 is 0. Combine. Place a 0 in the next column. Combine. 2 plus 0 is 2. And then 1 times 2 is 2. Negative 5 plus 2 is negative 3. And that is my remainder. Again, our quotient is 1 degree less. So right here we have 3x to the 4th. So therefore, this 1 right here is going to be 1x to the 3rd. Then we start descending our powers, plus 2x squared. There is no x here, so I'm not going to put a 0x. My constant is 2 plus my remainder over my divisor. All right, and then for this last one right here, again, we take x plus 3. We set that equal to 0, and we get x is equal to negative 3. That is our pivot point. Now over here, we look at our dividend. We start with 2x to the 3rd, so that's a 2. We don't have an x squared, so we put a 0 in its spot. We do have an x, which is negative x, so that's going to be negative 1, and my constant is negative 7. All right, let's go through that process. We always drop the first term. We multiply our pivot point times that number, so negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Place that in the next column and combine. 0 minus 6 is negative 6. Now we multiply negative 3 times negative 6 is 18. Combine, negative 1 plus 18 is going to give me 17. And then for the next one, we have negative 3 times 17, which is going to give me negative 51. And when we combine those, we get negative 58. And I'm just going to verify my work here. So 2, negative 6, negative 6, 18, 17. Yep, looks good. All right. So again, we look at our leading term of the dividend. It is 2x to the 3rd, and it's a power x cubed. So that means this starts going at 2x squared minus 6x plus 17 plus my remainder over my divisor. All right, so now for it says, in each of the following examples, a coefficient of the dividend is missing, labeled M or K. Use synthetic division to find the value of M or K if the remainder is to be what is indicated. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this here. So for this first one here, we're going to set up the whole synthetic division thing. So x minus 4 is equal to 0, so x equals to 4. Okay, so let's draw our division here. So we have a 4 on the outside, that's our pivot point. So we have x to the 4th. We don't have an x cubed, so that's a 0. We have x squared, which is negative 3. Our m is negative, our x is negative m, and then our constant is negative 8. Okay, now from here, we're going to perform synthetic division, and it's going to look a little bit different because of that little negative m. So let me show you what we're going to do here. So we go through the process. So we drop the 2. Let me switch that to green. So we're going to drop that 2. 4 times 2 is 8. Place in the next column, combine. 4 times 8 is 32. Combine. 4 times 29 is 116. Now this is where it gets different here, okay? So when I combine these, I get negative m plus 116, all right? Because I don't know what the value of m is, so I'm just combining them. Now when I multiply here, we're going to multiply, so we're going to distribute. Negative 4 times negative m is negative 4m. And then we have 4 times 116, which is going to be 464. Now, we know right here, this is where it gets important, the remainder, it tells me, is 0, so I'm putting a 0 in that spot. Okay? So now I have an equation that's set up. So my final equation I'm going to solve is going to be negative 8 minus 4m plus 464 is equal to 0. And now we're going to take this and solve it. So I can combine negative 8 and 464, which is going to be negative 4m plus 456 is equal to 0. We're going to go ahead and subtract this 456 to the other side. And that's going to give us negative 4m is equal to negative 456. And last, to solve for m, we're going to divide by negative 4. And here we get m equals 114. All right, so that process right there, be careful. Once you get to that m, when we combine them, negative m plus 116, I just rewrote that as the expression. Then when I multiply by the pivot point, I distribute it. 4 times negative 4 was negative 4m. 4 times 116 was 464. And when I combined them, I got negative 8 minus 4m plus 464. Again, remember it told us the remainder right here was 0. And then I just set up that equation and I solved it. Okay. And you'll see me do the same process on number 6 as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at this one here. All right, so for number 6, so x plus 2, we're going to set that equal to 0. And x equals negative 2 will be my pivot point. So let's start at negative 2 here, upside down division. And let's go ahead and take this and see what we have. So we have x cubed is 3. We have x squared is positive k. We don't have an x, so we put a 0. And we have a constant, which is 9. Okay, and as you can see, you might want to spread this out a little bit more. So let me go and do that real quick because I know it's going to take a little bit more space here. All right, back over here. Okay, so we had k, then we had 0, and then we have 9. Okay, so here goes the process. We're going to first drop that 3. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. We're going to combine those, which is going to be k minus 6. All right, now we're going to distribute. So be careful here because we multiply this towards that number on the bottom. So negative 2 times k is negative 2k. Negative 2 times negative 6 is positive 12. And when we do 0 plus that, or we combine them, we get negative 2k plus 12. Again, our remainder is 5. I should have written that earlier, but it's fine. So right now we have negative 2 times negative 2k is 4k. Negative 2 times 12 is negative 24. And again, we know our remainder is right here, 5. So I don't have to guess that. We know what that number is. Now we're going to take this column right here, and we're going to set up our equation and solve it. So we have 9 plus 4k minus 24 is equal to 5. Over here, I can combine 9 minus 24, which is going to give me negative 15. Plus 4k is equal to 5. Let's go ahead and add that 15 to the other side since we're solving for k. So 4k is equal to 5 plus 15 is 20. And last, we're going to divide by 4. And we come up with the solution that k is equal to 5. Okay. And if you ever want to check this, you can always take that k value of 5, plug it in here, work synthetic division, and the remainder should come out to be 5. Okay. All right, let's take a look at these last two here, 7 and 8. Again, it's the same processes. So I'm going to take x minus 2. I'm going to set that equal to 0, and we know that x is equal to 2. So pivot point is 2. Let's make this longer here. All right, coefficients, x cubed. We have 2. For k, for x squared, we don't have anything, so we're going to put a 0. For x, we have a k, and then for our constant, we have a 6. Okay, and let's go ahead and start the process here. Drop the 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Combine, 0 plus 4 is 4. Multiply, 2 times 4 is 8. Place in the next column. Here we're combining, but we don't know what k is, so that's going to be k plus 8. And then we multiply by the pivot point and put in the next column. So in this case, 2 times k is 2k. 2 times 8 is 16. And we know our remainder is -2. Okay, so we're going to take this, set up our equation, and solve it. So 6 plus 2k plus 16 is equal to -2. So I can combine 6 and 16. That's going to give me 22. We're going to undo the 22 to the other side, so we're going to subtract it. So 2k is equal to -24. Then we're going to divide by 2. And k is equal to -12. Okay? And here's our last one. So we're going to take x plus 2 and set that equal to 0. So x plus 2 is equal to 0. When we solve that, we should get x is equal to -2. And we subtract it over. So my pivot point is -2. For my dividend, we have x to the 4th, the power is 1. We don't have x cubed, so we're going to place a 0. We have x squared, which is -5. Our x is positive m, and then our constant is 12. All right, and then we start that process. We drop the first term. -2 times 1 is -2. We place that in the next column, and we combine. 0 minus 2 is -2. Multiply the pivot times the number, so -2 times -2 is 4. Place it in the next column, combine. -5 plus 4 is -1. Multiply the pivot. -2 times -1 is 2. We combine. M plus 2 is m plus 2. Then we multiply. -2 times this expression, so -2 times m is -2m. -2 times 2 is -4. And we don't have to figure out a remainder. We know right here that it is 0. So now we're going to set up our equation. So we have 12 minus 2m minus 4 is equal to the remainder of 0. Here we can combine 12 and -4, which gives us 8. We're going to go ahead and subtract the 8 to the other side. So -2m is equal to -8. And last, we'll divide by -2. And we come up with m is equal to +4. All right, so that concludes the notes for today.